All right, what's happening? It's good to be back here in the studio. It's been a couple weeks. We had a couple live streams out in the field. Before Mardi Gras, we did live at Tipitina's with my trio with David Torkanowski and James Singleton. I am quite proud of that live stream. If you haven't seen it yet, go back and check that out. It's still up on Facebook and YouTube. Nick Solnick and Brian Santos did a fantastic job, and I'm really proud of Nick, and he has learned so much through all of this. He's right over there at the desk with his mask on, and he will probably tune in. There he is in the foot cam, but he might tune in the Nick cam in a minute. So many good things to talk to you all about that I'm excited about. But during all of this COVID quarantine period, we've been super busy. We've been learning how to stream. We've been improving what we're doing here in the studio. We've been filming a lot of content for SMDA that's going to be coming out on SMDA in the next coming months. And I also recorded 4 tunes for my man Robert Walter. We've also been recording for some other friends as well. But right now, to break the ice, say hello, say good evening, get things started, I'm going to play a new song for y'all by Robert Walter. He's given me permission to use these tracks as play-alongs. This is not even a released record yet. He hasn't even picked which drum takes he's going to use, but he's going to let me play along and perform these for y'all on my streams. So this is a tune called Better Feathers, and I've found that when I play these and I'm playing along to Robert and he's kicking bass with his left hand and he's overdubbed some keyboards, I find that I start envisioning all the great times that we've had playing together. So in my mind, I'm thinking of Jazz Fest, late night Jazz Fest shows, outdoor Jazz Fest shows. I'm thinking of Jam Cruise shows. I'm thinking of times that we've toured together, times I've been playing with his band, times he's been playing with my band. So I'll be thinking of all of those things as I play. Hopefully my playing some of this will help you guys remember some of those times as well. And we hope to get through this and get back to doing some of that in the sooner than later future. So here we go. Me playing a tune by Robert Walter. This is a new one by him. This is called Better Feathers. 8 count. Yes, indeed. As Johnny V would say, ooh, it's fun to play the drums. It's fun to break a little sweat, get a little out of breath. I'm admittedly a little bit out of hard-hitting shape, but that's fun. Just means we got work to do when we get out of this. So yeah, it feels good to be out of breath playing the damn drums. Yes, indeed. So, man, thank you to Robert Walter for sending me that tune. So unbelievably fun to play with one of my musical brothers again, even if it is distanced and virtual right now. But speaking of playing with musical brothers, I mentioned when we started that I did have some exciting stuff to talk about. So one of the things I want to talk about tonight is my brothers, Skerrick and Charlie Hunter. We have released a new record with the original Garage à Trois, and it's called Calm Down Cologne. And we're pretty psyched about it. It's coming out on vinyl. It's coming out through Royal Potato Records, Royal Potato Family Records, and it's coming out April 16th. And that night we will be doing a live stream together, me, Charlie, and Skerrick, that night, April 16th. So be on the lookout for the record. You can pre-order it. The link to pre-order it is in my Instagram bio right now. Nick, if you can find it when you get time, go to royalpotatofamily.com. The link to pre-order it is up there. Maybe put it in the comments when you get a minute. Nick is doing the job of 6 people, and I appreciate him. He's been kicking ass here filming. RoyalPotatoFamily.com, yeah. He's been kicking ass in here filming, helping me out, make video lessons for SMDA, and which, if you don't know, Stanton Drum Academy. If you want to check it out, if y'all like the way that I explain drums, play drums, you can try out the academy for 14 days. There's a link to that in the description. So, and since we're talking about things in the description, there's also a link to my virtual tip jar. While we're unable to tour or gig, all contributions, donations, and support are greatly appreciated. And we're getting through by the skin of our teeth as musicians with everyone's love and support throughout this time. So thank y'all. We do appreciate it. And I like to take questions, have conversation with y'all in these streams. So we usually start to answer some of the more music and general questions and then start to get into drumming a little later, unless the drumming questions come up and no general or music questions come up. But y'all start letting the questions rip, and Nick will start reading them out to me. He'll also start reading out any names that he recognizes from the camp, the Sono virtual camp that we did. So this is something I really want to talk about too, is I'm doing a 1-day intensive. So my 3-day Sono online virtual Spirit of New Orleans drum camp went so well. You know, I started asking people, if I did it through Zoom, would y'all participate? And so many people said yes. We filled it up, 30 people. And we did 3 days from 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And that went so well, I was like, man, I'm thinking about doing maybe one of these every quarter. Would y'all do that? And he said, yes, they would. So there are only a couple spots left, and it's March 20th. The intensive is March 20th. It's an 8-hour intensive, 4 1.5-hour sessions. And we're going to start going through some super important and necessary grooves that you need to know if you want to be a working drummer in any part of the world. So if you're interested in that, you can go to stantonmore.com. Nick, if you get a minute, I know you got a lot going on. Yeah. Go to stantonmore.com, click on the one-day intensive, get that link, and put that link in the comments.
That link should be put the links up. Did you send that?
Did I send the one-day intensive? Maybe I did, but
I thought it's in the description.
Maybe it is. But if it's not, put it in the description. Put it in the comments for me. Anyway, I'm just making sure that we cover all of our bases, because we have so much coming up. You know, we've been taking this time. I've looked at this time as a sabbatical to try to do things that I've always wanted to do, like film more and focus on the Drum Academy and learn how to stream, which we've been doing. So if you go check out my YouTube page and look at that Tipitina's stream from 2 weeks ago, we're really proud of that. We're starting to figure out how to stream. We're going to be doing more streams of gigs when we start playing more gigs. And we're even going to start streaming from my house, which is exciting. You know, I just love playing music, obviously. Love playing drums, talking about drums, demonstrating drums. So we're just trying to bring that to everyone as much as possible. And we've been really learning a lot. Shout out to Jim Toscano, as always, for teaching us so much about streaming. Shout out to Max Cusimano and Nola Vid for consulting us on buying the cameras that we bought. And if anybody's curious about what we're using, ask us. We'll tell you about it. But Max had the foresight to tell us to buy. He did a lot of research, and he told us to buy these Sony a6400 cameras because for the money they were incredible, but they were also going to be able to stream if and when we started streaming. And lo and behold, we had to start streaming through COVID, and luckily we had bought cameras that would work for that. And Jim helped us pick the right switcher, and through that we've tried different switchers, and we can get into all that if anybody's interested. But gladly
talk about it.
Yeah, Nick will gladly talk about it. Nick does like to talk, and he's learned so much, and I would not be able to do any of this without him. So I always want to give gratitude to Nick, Soul Nick, who is now training other people to do this, and he's getting hired by other people. So we're going to need more people. If you know how to stream, reach out in the comments and tell us, because we need more people. We're going to. All right, cool. Nick, you got any questions, any comments, any
yeah, hang on a second.
gripes or complaints?
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. There's Nick and his
And my
excellent radio voice.
here's my Nick cam. I don't even know how it looks right now. Oh, ha! Can't see my face.
Well,
There it is.
there it is. There's our picture-in-picture Nick cam.
Hey, y'all.
Ta-da! As Derek Friedman would say.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
All right. So, some questions we have. Oh yeah, this is from Dallas.
All right, Dallas. Another shout out, Dallas, who is my content manager and social media guy. He helps me out so much with the content and with social media, and editing some things as well. And Dallas is part of the team. And
Got great hair.
yes, Dallas has awesome hair, and he's always changing it up too. We got a question from Dallas.
Yeah, he says, I've always been curious when you play during Jazz Fest how you logistically make it to multiple shows a day with kits already set up. I know it's one of the craziest times of the year as a musician there.
Yeah, so that's a great question, Dallas, and that leads me to shout out to, SM team member number 1, Adam Kelly, right? Adam Kelly's been my drum tech for like 17 years now, and he single-handedly gets 5 kits around Jazz Fest. We're usually running 5 kits all over to all the different venues that we're playing. And so shout out to Adam, and then also the Galactic crew, Ryan Jones, and now Tubbs, John Michael Tubbs, and Chris Aber, those guys help get the Galactic gear where it needs to go, and the tips gigs, they help make all that stuff happen, and then Adam Kelly gets all my in-town gear around. But Adam has been spending quarantine in Austin, so now Jesse Zeringue, one of my SM team members, who is a LSU student who graduated, and literally we were about to do a Galactic drive-in the next day, and we were short on help. And Jesse texted me that night, and he was like, "Hey man, just want to let you know, signed on a lease for an apartment, and I'll be moving to New Orleans." I was like, "Great, what are you doing tomorrow?" He's like, "Well, I'm spending the night in Baton Rouge, but I guess I could be in New Orleans. How soon do you need me?" I was like, 9:30 a.m. to load in at UNO for the drive-in that we did. And Jesse started that day, and he's been helping me out in town. So I'd like to give shout-outs to all my team members who are helping us out. Shout out to Steve Burnside, my marketing guy. Chloe Churko, my new business manager. Yes, indeed. We're getting the team together during this quarantine period. Shout out to Alex Brawl, Anna Lyle.
Yeah. So.
Did I miss anybody, Nick?
I don't know, man. So many.
Oh, of course. Tanner Gus.
Oh, Tanner. Good old
Tanner Gus. Stan Zlakowski. Tanner and Stan helping us edit.
Yeah. It's just kind of a. It's fun. Just I'm setting you up here.
Okay.
Somebody wants a drum set. They're looking for a new drum set, and they want some drum set recommendations.
Okay. Drum set recommendations. Of course, I endorse Gretsch, so I recommend Gretsch, and not just because I endorse them. They're unbelievable drums. And the question is, do you want to buy a drum set that's going to last you the rest of your life, and something that you're going to be happy to play for the rest of your life? And that might be the USA Customs, right? That's the top of the line Gretsch kit. Do you want something that you can play gigs with, and something that's not top of the line, but something that you can, like, you know, really play a lot of gigs with, move around a lot, and it's gonna sound great, but it's gonna be a lot of value for the dollar? That, you know, that might be like the Catalinas. Those are like not quite the like student model, but the Catalinas are, you know, a great gigging kit. I've got two Catalinas back here. Like, Nick, if you want to give me the front cam, these are both Catalina kits, and these are great little kits. There's a champagne sparkle and a black sparkle.
Yeah, I had the
kits.
Catalina Club.
Yeah, that's what these are.
Yeah.
These are awesome kits, man, for the
It's a
dollar.
workhorse.
Workhorse.
It's a workhorse that you don't feel too bad if you have to bang it around, throw it around, or if it's raining and you have to run through
Right.
the rain. And
So that's the thing. If you spend a lot of money on a kit that you want to last the rest of your life, and then you get a gig and you're like, yeah, awesome, we got a gig, let's go play this outdoor gig. You've got me on the front cam, I think.
oh, my bad.
Yay, let's go play this outdoor gig. Awesome. You get to the gig and there's no tent over the stage. You're like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. Let's play this gig. And then clouds start to swirl. And you're like, oh, man, is it going to rain on my new $7,000 drum set?
Yeah.
And that's a very stressful situation. So the Catalinas are great gigging drums. And of course, there's a lot in between there. But I really recommend Gretsch. The Gretsch Brooklyn series is US made, and the Gretsch Broadcaster series is US made. I've got Brooklyns over here, Broadcasters at home, and they're all killer. The Broadcasters are very, very, to me, warm, focused and warm. The Brooklyns are kind of focused and punchy, and the USA Customs are focused and clear, like really, really clear, beautiful tone. To me, all of them are kind of focused, right? And by that I mean like not a lot of erroneous overtones that you have to dial in. Like Gretsch really has their shell and hoop configurations together. And that's a huge shout out to Paul Cooper, head of the Gretsch factory, who has had a hand in making all of my newer Gretsch drums since I started my endorsement with them in 2003. Obi-Wan Cooper, as we like to call him. He is a Gretsch drums master and such a beautiful guy and beautiful spirit. So shout out to Paul Cooper and all the great work that the Gretsch factory has been doing over the years. Keeping me in drums.
Yeah.
Love it. But yeah, just go to their site, go to the Gretsch site and peruse and look and call your local dealer, you know? And if you don't have a local dealer, there are some great dealers that I love to deal with, you know. Shane Kinney, Drum Center of Portsmouth, Jim Pettit, Memphis Drum Shop, Forks Drums, you know, Ray Franson's Drum Center here in the New Orleans area. Frank DiArcangelo, shout out to Frank DiArcangelo.
Yeah, Frank.
He helped a friend of mine pick out a kit for her house just a few weeks ago. So, you know, it depends on what area you're in because we're all over. But
Yeah, they were saying who sells Gretsch in town in NOLA.
in town, Frank at Ray Franson's Drum Center. Give them a call. Tell them I sent you. They can get you a kit. They can get you a Gretsch kit. They can order what you want and call Frank at Ray Franson's Drum Center.
All right, another question. Let's see. There's lots of. I'm scrolling. So somebody was asking about that Robert Walter tune. So it's like, did the Robert Walter track come with a click track? Do you generally jam to a track such as this, or do you listen and plan things you can incorporate into your contribution to it? This is from Dennis Dacey.
So Dennis, this track does have a click track. Some of the play-alongs that I play along to do not. Like all of the Groove Alchemy play-alongs do not have a click track. All of the play-alongs that I've created from my record With You in Mind, the Alan Toussaint tribute record, those do not have a click track. These, with Robert, they do have a click track. I like to be able to do it either way. You want to be able to do it either way. And so with this tune, the first A section, I definitely had that beat planned out. And that's similar to a beat that I played on a tune that Robert wrote for Stanton 3. And the name of that tune was called Poison Pushy. And yes, that's correct, Nick. Nick's looking at me funny. I do have a daughter. So shout out to Maddie out there. She's tuning in, but she may not be, but that's all right. She's 16 and doing her thing. So, okay, this Robert Walter tune, Poison Pushy, I did this like stick on stick cross stick, and I might have picked this up from Chris Dave, to be honest with you. I definitely picked it up at an Erykah Badu concert, and so I did this kind of groove on Poison Pushy on Stanton 3. And then for this Robert tune, he had put some mock drums on it, like a little loop. And I was like, cool. So I kind of approximated what the bass drum was doing. And then as kind of like an homage to what we did together on Stanton 3, I threw in that stick on stick thing at the beginning. So, and it's Dave, right? So Dennis. Okay, so Dennis. Now that's a great question. I'm really glad you asked the question. So what we're going to do is we're going to start the tune over, right? And I'm going to play what I play when I usually play this tune. And it's that homage to that Robert Walter tune that we did on Stanton Moore 3. So Nick, just start it and I'll shut up because it's got an 8-count lead in. So just start it and then I'll stop talking. And here we go. All right, Dennis. So that's the way I'm approaching it right now. Now, when we got to that like B section, I stayed on that stick-on-stick click, but I could have gone to the snare drum. So this is a great question. So I could play the tune like this, where I'm playing snare drum, and I'm going to intentionally play this a little busier than I think it should be, to show you that I could do this, but to me this would be a little busy, right? But these are decisions you make as a drummer. So Nick, give it to me again.
Let's do the 4-count.
Oh, here we go, 4-count. Okay, so Dennis, I intentionally did a whole lot of grace notes towards the end to show you that it's just too much. I might do that as a fill or something. That's cool, but that's just too much. So, so you have to make these decisions, right? Now check this out. I mean, I'm gonna throw a big fat snare drum on here, and I'm gonna play less, but I'm gonna throw this big fat snare drum on here, and this is a cool muffling device made by Big Fat Snare Drum. Nick, give it to me again, and I could put up another snare drum, but that would take a little time. So I'm just gonna do this and play less, and listen how much of a different vibe we get on the track now. Check it out. Okay, so I like that. Like, the snares were a little too loose at first because I loosened them up, and then they were rattling a little, so I took that up a little bit. But I like that. Now, you know, Dennis, I could play all these ponderos and stuff over here, but this would be too much, right? I think this would be too much. But that right there, between that, let me play that again. All right, that's a great, I think that's a viable approach. So when I get in the studio with somebody, I could say, well, I could do this with it. And Robert could say, ooh, I like that. And I might say, or I could do this, the stick-on-stick thing with a busier bass drum. And he could say, oh man, shoot, I don't know. Maybe start with the stick-on-stick and then go to the snare when we go to the B section. Ta-da, no problem. Okay, or I'm going to do this, and I think that this would be too much. Super fun for me to play on the drums with these Pondero grooves, okay? But I think that this would be too much. Go ahead, Nick. So at the end, for fun, I played a fill that was too much. It was fun, but if you did that on a session, especially if it was somebody else's record, they'd be like, yeah, that's a little too much. So, you know, playing those ponderos to that track, I haven't tried that before. Man, that was kicks. That was super fun. But the producer you're working with or the artist that you're working with might say, yeah, no, not that. And then you got to not take it personally. You've got to, you know, even, hey, that's great. You've been practicing that for weeks, and now you can't wait to debut it and bring it out. That's great, but that might not be the right thing for this situation, and you have to not take it personally. If you expect to get called back, and if you expect to finish the session, sometimes if you don't play well with others, and not just playing wise, but behavior wise, if you don't cooperate and have a good attitude and kind of like, yeah, sure, no problem, man, I'll try that, you know, then they could call somebody else and then not call you back and tell other people, yeah, I called that cat, yeah, it didn't work out. You don't want that. You want to work well with people and have them keep you around, call you back, and tell their friends and the people they work with so those people call you too. And if you have an idea and you try it, somebody doesn't like it, don't take it personally. Now, admittedly, that's a lesson that I have had to learn over time. And I could tell you many funny stories. And I could tell you some funny stories about how I've come up with things that people consider signature things of mine by trying things that I originally thought were not good ideas. But I've told those stories before, and so we'll take another question.
It's funny that you bring that up because someone just asked, does Galactic record as a full band to get basic tracks?
The answer is these days, not usually. These days, I usually start with recording drums. We'll record drums at the Galactic studio next door, or at the parlor, or different places, and then the guys will pick what they like, and then they'll start writing to it. And then once we get something that's a nice bed of a tune, then we might pass it on to a songwriter that we've been working with. And, some of the songwriters that we've worked with over time are Boyfriend's been helping us a lot, and David Shaw, John C. There's a few different writers that we've worked with over time, Ryan Montbleu. And sometimes the writer will sing the tune. Sometimes they'll write it for somebody else, So it depends. It's kind of a song by song basis, and everything in general starts from the ground up. And sometimes it might be a loop that's not me, and then I eventually wind up replacing it. And what winds up on the records is always me, but it doesn't necessarily always start as me, usually. But it usually always starts from the ground up, and then we build it and mold it, kind of like a sculpture or like a giant improvisatorial Lego project.
Let's see.
Nick, you gotta have the next one ready.
This is a lot.
There's a lot.
So, I'm doing a lot of things.
No, I know.
So, this one is how do you stay healthy on tour?
That's a really good question. And, over the last few years, I've been trying to eat better. Thank goodness for Uber Eats now, and Postmates and things like that, because a lot of times when you're on tour, you spend a day like on the bus or backstage, and you can go walk around, but supposing there's not anything really good within walking distance, suppose, for me, I'm always trying to write lessons for SMDA, stay on top of email and calls. So I may not want to spend an hour and a half walking to go find something, sitting down and eating. So over the last few years, I'll look something up and have poke delivered, or power bowls, or salads delivered. And I love food, and with Galactic we try to seek out food in lots of different places, and we seek out the best restaurants and best food and dining experiences, and we have a lot of our favorite places. But if you eat whatever you want all the time, and I'm sure y'all will notice, like in videos and pictures, I kind of go up and down. And I try to eat healthy when I can, but also there are times, especially like in the beginning of all of this, like just, eating a lot of comfort food. And so now I'm trying to get back to eating a little healthier when I can, but that, and just learning certain routines that work for you, certain like floor workouts that work for me, different push-ups and abdominal things. And I admittedly would like to work out more and exercise more than I have been, but eating healthier and trying to get exercise in when you can. And I've definitely overdone it with exercise. I was doing some high impact stuff and then hitting really hard on the gig, and came home with a lot of tension in this left elbow. So I had to back off the high impact workouts, right? And So it's it's a learning experience as you go and as you grow and as you get older, of what works. What works today might not work tomorrow, and you need to adjust. But eating healthy and trying to exercise as you can is how I stay healthy on the road. And moderation, you know.
Someone's asking when that prototype symbol's coming out.
Okay, great question. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say yet when, but I will say soon, and I will say that it is. It's happening. And I don't know if I can say it yet. So next week, I'll get my ducks in a row. But I literally was on the phone today with Joe Testa, the Vice President of Artist Relations at Zildjian, and Vic Firth, and it's very exciting. We talked today, and it's happening. I have a new version in the mail en route to me, so it's coming. We got a little derailed. It's a new term. We got a little side-railed through the pandemic, but it is coming, and I'm super excited about it, and I can't wait for y'all to check it out. So yeah, just be a little more patient. I'm so glad that there's so much interest in it, though, because believe me, when it's ready, when it's coming out, because first it's going to come out as part of the concept shop, so it'll be like a 6-month limited availability, and I'm going to push the heck out of it. So any of you who have been waiting for it, when it comes out, know that there's going to be a limited amount through the concept shop, and if we get good response, then they're going to put it into production. So I certainly hope that y'all who have been interested support it when it comes out, and we can get it into production.
I actually have a question for you.
All right. Nick's got a question.
So, as some of the viewers may know, and as you know, and a lot of musicians know, we just lost a really big character in music, Chick Corea.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to see, like maybe talk a little bit about that. Was Chick ever like a big influence on you, and or like what were some records that you really dug of his, or talk a little bit about Chick.
Yeah. So of course, once we lost Chick, I started reflecting on all of my experiences with Chick. And, I got to see Chick from like the second row with Brian Blade and John Patitucci at Newport Jazz Festival. Galactic played, and then I ran over to go see them. And because we were playing, got really good seats. And it was like on the tennis lawn of Newport Jazz. And I mean, as a lot of you know, like, Brian is one of my drumming heroes. And so to get to see Chick with Brian was just unbelievable. I got to see Chick Corea with, it was Gary Novak. Chick Corea with Gary Novak at Tipitina's. Who of y'all were at that gig? Let me know who remembers that gig. So I saw Chick Corea at Tipitina's with Gary Novak. That was unbelievable. I saw Chick Corea with Dave Weckl down by the river. I think it was a Jazz Fest night show, and it was the Electric Band, the Chick Corea Electric Band. So those 3 times that I saw Chick pop out, and I saw Chick on the road. I'm going to have to remember where, but it was in a theater with Jeff Ballard on drums. So I know that I got to see him at least 4 times, and it was incredible with 4 different drummers. And I'm trying to remember other times that I might have seen him, but Light as a Feather, of course, listened to that record hundreds of times growing up as a kid, and it cannot be under exaggerated how important Chick was to music and to piano players. I don't know a piano player or a keyboard player who doesn't have Chick Corea in their top 10 of favorites, you know. His name always comes up, and it's so tragic that we just lost him. I mean, it's sad. He was so vibrant and still just crushing it, you know, still making records and doing his Chick Corea Academy, which I was just in awe of because it was so well presented, so well put together. So he was such a light and such an incredible force of nature in so many different ways for so long, and just such a creative spirit and such an influence to so many, not just keyboard players and piano players. I mean, here I am as a drummer talking about how incredible he is, and he had such an impact on Nick that Nick barely ever asks questions, and so it's such an impact on the whole music world, that it's a very, very sad loss to lose Chick.
First jazz record I ever bought was first two was Light as a Feather and Kinda Blue, you know. So
Yeah.
Light as a Feather was a huge influence
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Well, yep. Chick, we will miss you, and thank you for all your contributions. Nick is going to pose another question.
Yes. Well, someone asked kind of a dumb question, so.
Oh, here's Steve. Well, Steve Burnside was calling, and Steve is my marketing guy who's been kicking butt. And I was going to answer and be like, hey, man, we're live. Nick, can you turn my lav up? Because I can't hear it as well in my ears. Okay, cool.
So answer this question while I'm doing that. Someone wants to know, what's your favorite Charlie Hunter record? Not including your upcoming release.
Okay, that's an easy answer for me, and it's Ready, Set, Shango. When that record came out, man, I loved it so much with Scott Amendola on drums, and because I was just starting to get into the whole Blue Note Boogaloo world, you know, Grant Green, Dr. Lonnie Smith, Lou Donaldson, and Charlie's record, Ready, Set, Shango, to me at that time was like, oh, wow, this is like a new current take on that world by guys who were not that much older than me. You know, it was something that I could aspire to. So when I heard that, I was like, man, that's amazing. And of course, you know, Charlie's come out with so many great records. And shout out to Charlie for being on my first solo record, 1998. 1998. Which we're going to have to start getting ready for a 25-year anniversary release of that. But Charlie Hunter and Skerritt played on my first solo record. And then after that, it didn't feel right calling it Stanton Moore or Stanton Moore Trio. So we came up with the name Garage à Trois to play with the three of us. And then shortly thereafter, added Mike Dillon. And Mike Dillon was very early in the Garage à Trois days. And I still play with Mike a lot. Shout out to Mike Dillon, my musical brother, who I love so very much. And so, yeah, Charlie Records, I mean, he's very prolific, and he's put out so many records. But I just remember getting that record and being like, man, this is so killing in so many ways when that record, Ready, Set, Shango, came out. Cool. Good question.
Sorry, some of his. Okay, here's a good one. I think we've been talking a lot about recording, but I think this is a good one. Someone was asking a budget drum recording setup, and like what your thoughts are on that, and what recording techniques you would use for, say, a small 4 to 8 channel hookup setup.
Yeah, that's a great question, and you know, I'll let Nick contribute in this one too. I mean, really, you can get great sounds with 3 microphones. I mean, it worked for John Bonham. Was John? They were using 4?
4 mics.
4 mics. So yeah, 4 mics. Because they would use what? Bass, snare, and 2 coils? 2 biodynamics, right?
Yeah. They're also set up a little bit different. There wasn't 2 overheads over top. There was 1 overhead over the, I guess the drummer's left by the hi-hat and the crash cymbal, and then the kind of like wild card is the 4th one is on the side facing, like where the diaphragm is like facing the drummer, but it's like you have to measure how far away from the snare drum each one is, so that
and they have to be equidistant. I think it's 4 feet.
Yeah,
I should know this off the top of my head.
It's specific. You can find it online. There's tons of information about the John Bonham setup.
Yeah, so I mean I would recommend 4 microphones. Investigate the John Bonham setup. There's a lot of different videos done on it.
I will say, though, it's a very specific sound if you do the John Bonham setup. So if you're looking for a really isolated, or you're looking for a more of a less open kind of sound, maybe the John Bonham setup is not best. Maybe just 2 overheads, a snare, and a kick. I definitely like the Sennheiser E914 mics. Those are really great overheads that get a lot of really great tom sound. So you can get more with less, basically.
Yeah, and then I endorse Audix mics. They make incredible microphones, and they make great mic packages as well. So you can investigate Audix. I'm using Universal Audio interfaces, and they are admittedly pricey. And during quarantine for my house, I bought a Focusrite. Was it like 16 inputs, I think, for $500? It was like Focusrite. A lot of people love it because it's consumer friendly. It's not too expensive, and it does a great job. So Focusrite is a great interface if you want to get a little higher end, or a lot higher end. The Universal Audio stuff is stellar, and that's what I'm using.
Presonus has come out with some really, really great stuff too.
Presonus out of Baton Rouge, they've come out with good stuff, and so yeah, it's infinite, really, the combinations you can come up with.
You definitely want like a large diaphragm on the bass drum, nice dynamic mic. Like a SM57 is like industry standard for snare drums. We use an Audix, but it's basically it's a similar style mic.
Audix i5, which is their version of the SM57.
Yeah, which is a very similar, very similar sound. And then if you have some two overheads and you mess around with the mic placement and whatever you're trying to pick up, some basic condenser mics will work fine. And you can get a really great drum sound just by moving mics and just being patient.
Yeah, it does take a lot of learning, in the beginning, a lot of experimentation. I mean, we're still dialing stuff in, always. So, yeah, definitely. Good question. But that's a long question. We could spend days.
Definitely, I would definitely say, ask like a studio engineer, because they're gonna know way more nitty gritty about all the history of the mics and what was used on various records and whatnot. I'd like to, if you're curious about drum miking, I would check out this guy AJ Hall. He lives here in New Orleans. He plays with John Cleary. He does a lot of drum breaks, and he has this series up on Instagram called Behind the Breaks, and he breaks down drum recording and mixing and everything. Almost every day he's posted something. Check out AJ Hall.
Yeah, AJ Hall, local New Orleans brother, killing drummer, killing musician all around. Plays multiple instruments, great singer too.
Awesome bass player.
Yeah, awesome bass player. He's a bad dude. And yes, as Nick said, check out AJ Hall's posts. He does a lot about drum recording information, and we're actually learning a lot from AJ. So thank you, AJ. Shout out to AJ Hall. Great, killing drummer, killing all-around musician, and becoming a great producer as well. And, you know, if you're going to start getting into recording, if you're going to start getting into streaming, if you're going to start getting into filming, the answer is just ask questions. Be curious. Just ask questions. You know, just by me talking about it and asking questions, Dave Stanek was like, man, you need to talk to Jim Toscano. And then Jim Toscano, I started taking consultation from him when I started Wednesday nights just opening up my Facebook, opening up my computer and just going into the computer raw. And I was like, if I just do this every week and try to make it better every week, and I did, and I got an interface and then started learning how to record myself. And then eventually we were able to get in here together safely with masks and all that. And Jim helped us pick out every single HDMI cable and adapter and the switcher, and luckily we already had the cameras, and Nick wired all this stuff up together. We got down on our hands and knees and drilled a hole through the cinder block wall to get Ethernet from the Galactic side. Now we've had to upgrade our internet over here so that we've got better upload speeds. So now Galactic is taking the feed from us. So the answer is just start doing it. You just got, whatever it is, recording, streaming, filming, start doing it. And by doing the live thing, we've definitely had some hair pulling moments, but it has forced us to get better. Yeah. And it's the smartest thing I've ever done. It's the scariest thing. And at times I was like, is this the stupidest thing I've ever done?
The 5 minutes before a live stream are always the most stressful.
We think we've got it together, and then 5 minutes before, something always goes haywire. And that's why we started 5 minutes late today.
The gremlins.
Yeah, it's just gremlins. But, you know, we've learned so much, and we're going to keep learning. And it's so fun. And it's, you know, it's definitely scary at times, but we've learned so much. And I feel like we're going to be in such a better place 2, 5, 10 years from now because we've learned all this, you know. And hopefully we'll be able to bring more music, more drumming knowledge to y'all.
I just want to say, they just released, you were on the cover of Rhythm Magazine, and they just did a whole thing about, with Jim Toscano, about all that.
Yeah, Rhythm Magazine from the UK just put me on the cover, and they did a story on drum studios.
I think they did Dave Weckles. They did quite a few drummers.
Yeah, and it was Dave Weckl, Dave Garibaldi, myself, and Jim, and so they interviewed everybody, and you know, it's like, I think it was the guys who put studios together during all of this with Jim's help.
Yeah.
Is kind of the story, and you know, Jim has become like a tech guru to a lot of drummers that you guys know, and we wouldn't be doing this without Jim Toscano. So shout out to Jim Toscano, and you know, thankfully he taught us a whole lot, and then Nick keeps learning and watching tutorials from other people, and you know, once you get the bug, you know, and luckily for me, I had an inclination that Nick's personality, he loves computers, he loves all this tech kind of stuff. I was like, man, I hope that I can throw this into Nick's domain and he'll take it and run with it, and he absolutely has. So thank goodness for Nick.
Quick little pro tip. There's always YouTube. YouTube's has so much stuff out there, but specifically if you're looking for streaming, check out gaming websites, because the gamers have been doing this stuff since before the pandemic. And so like there's so much knowledge about how to get started, how to set everything up so that you get a clean stream and all that stuff. Like gaming websites, I'd say like musicians are a little late on this, you know. It's really the gamers are the ones that like have it all dialed in. Yeah,
they do. And that's good. That's a good pro tip. That's good information. And so the answer is just ask questions, and by that I mean seek the information, just like you do with drumming, just like you do with anything else you want to learn. It's going to feel like it's an unsurmountable mountain, which it kind of is, but it's not unsurmountable. It's a mountain, but it's not unsurmountable. Every journey up a mountain starts with the first step and then the next step. And that's what the weekly streams have helped us do. So before I sign out, like I said, go back and check out that live stream that we did 2 weeks ago. It's up on my YouTube page. It's just type in Stanton Moore Tipitinas and it should come up. It was February 10th was the date, I believe. And, that's the culmination of that's what we've reached. That's our
It's also Nola Tet.
And the week before was Nola Tet, February 3rd. And that one's really good too. But something about being inside of Tips and what Nick and Brian have accomplished, it just looks really good. The lighting looks really good. And so that's kind of where we've gotten. And we wouldn't have gotten there if I didn't just open my computer and just say, holy crap, I don't know what to do, but I think I'm going to go live every Wednesday for a while. And we have been, and we've learned so much. And next week, Nick, remind me to talk about the importance of a weekly gig. Not just, I know how much better you can get as a drummer by taking a weekly gig and recording yourself and listening back to it all week and improving on that. So that's why I was like, maybe we can do the same with streaming. And it's true. We've definitely gotten to where we are by forcing ourselves to do it every week.
Don't give up.
Don't give up. Don't give up. And it's going to feel, man, there have been times where I've driven away from here just I was so frustrated because the internet didn't work that night, or the latency was off that night, or early in the days we were trying to stream at 60 frames per second.
Yeah. Didn't have the internet for that.
Yeah, so there are different things that you learn, but that's why, Evel Knievel is one of my heroes. Evel Knievel, when he took a chance, there was a chance he might not make it. There's a chance he might wind up in the hospital or he might die. What's the worst that's going to happen in music or streaming or video or recording yourself? You take a chance and maybe the internet won't work, or maybe your stream will break up, but it's not the end of the world. You're not going to go to the hospital. You're not going to die, hopefully, right? So keep trying it, and we'll see y'all next week. Signing out, but I want to say, if you're interested in checking out the Stanton Moore Drum Academy, there's a 14-day trial. Go to StantonMooreDrumAcademy.com. I would love to have you check out the Drum Academy. There's also the virtual tip jar if you want to contribute. If you're not a drummer and you want to contribute and help us keep improving our streams, that would be great. Virtual tip jar is there in the description and right there on the screen. And also, we will be releasing the original Garage à Trois record April 16th. And we'll be doing an album release stream that night. Not to throw too much at y'all, but yeah, Nola Tet with my brother Mike Dillon, James Singleton, and Brian Haas. We'll be doing a stream from Tipitinas, March 26th. Put that in your calendars. Heard it here first. Is there anything I'm forgetting? Oh yeah, the intensive, March 20th. 8-hour intensive. It's 4 1.5-hour segments. And we're going to be covering all kinds of different grooves that you need to know as a working drummer. So we'll be covering that on March 20th. And of course, answer questions. And you know me, I love to answer questions and talk and divert. But that'll be March 20th. To sign up for that, you can go to StantonMoore.com, click on the one-day intensive. Nick probably put the link in there too. He's going to put it up again. One-day intensive. Link is coming up right now.
Hang on, I got so many pages up right now.
He's got so many pages up. But as long as you get it up, then people will know when they see it, because people will be watching this in hopefully a little bit of time after we get done with this. So thank y'all so much. This has been great fun. We'll see y'all next week. And man, we've been through a lot through this last year. I appreciate y'all tuning in with us, watching us grow, helping us grow. The support means so very much. And Nick is trying to get that link up.
Yeah, I'll put it up. We might sign off with the video, but the live stream won't be over, so okay.
He's got to get it up there.
I'll get it up there before I
But if
sign
you
off.
if you want to find it, it's just stantonmore.com, right on the homepage, One Day Intensive. All right, y'all. Thanks so much. We're signing off. See y'all next week. Thank you. Good night.